So we've done our prayer wheel, and we have smudged everything appropriately. We have put the tree, the heart of Africa, where it belongs, between the ceiba tree, capturing the energy of the sun on this special day of December 21st at 12 noon. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Today is another critical day that's taking place at the United Nations when people are coming together to argue about Jerusalem, whether Jerusalem should be the capital of Israel. We need wisdom here. We've talked about this before. At the inaugural meeting of the Foundation for a Culture of Peace, we discussed taking Jerusalem out of the equation of the two-state solution. So it is a two-state solution, but you take out Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the baby, using the wisdom of Solomon. Take the baby out of the equation. You don't cut the baby in two. You add another dimension, love. That's what Solomon used when he decided which one was the mother. So we can use the wisdom of Solomon today in looking at Jerusalem. Take it out of the equation. It's neither this nor that. It's all things to all people. It becomes, for all three religions, a centerpiece for them to demonstrate how to make peace. And from there they teach. From there they teach what it is to be right, to be honorable, to be a good human being. Perhaps they should look to the Maya. Perhaps they should look to the Maya for the Maya wisdom. The Maya wisdom comes back on the ninth wave as we anticipate humans becoming conscious. And what does it mean to become conscious? It means to become fully alive with all of your senses in a moment of time. Let this be that moment for me to be fully conscious of my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual self. Looking at the physicality through all of my senses. Sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of hearing, sense of sight, sense of temperature, sense of balance, sense of time and space. How often we ignore where we are in time and space. And we need to know more, know what we know, remember what we ought to know, and intuit that stuff what we don't know, but you can intuit. You can intuit the purpose of the Temescal. Can you intuit the purpose of the Temescal? Maybe not from that design, but here we are on Turtle Island, and that is a Temescal. How many people know what a Temescal is? Sweat lodge in North American terms. North American, Canadian, United States too, maybe. So, we have asked the founder, the organizer of the Maya International University in Sac Bay to ask our Prime Minister of Canada to enjoin the United Nations Resident Coordinator position. We need to consider the effectiveness of the United Nations. If we don't consider the effectiveness of the United Nations, what's its point? We bring everybody together to mouth ideas and fight about old battles and old thoughts. Let's get on with it and look after feeding the people, stopping the war, stop making weapons of war. How absurd is when we're worrying about feeding an extra 2 billion people or 3 billion people, we're worrying about it. We spend resources on building weapons of war. Puerto Rico is crumbled. Places in Texas, Louisiana, New York, California. Look at what's happening in California right now. We have resources to waste on weapons of war? Where is the mentality that drives that? Where is the mentality that drives the ignorance of war and those that feed it? One of the first messages of the peacemaker was, do not feed the warriors. That's the only thing that Mr. Trump knows how to do. He feeds the warriors on all sides of the equation. We actually, when we went and we attributed to each of these stumps wise human beings from around the cycles of the earth, Einstein, Da Vinci, and we invited Mr. Trump here. We left his chair empty because we don't see it doing anything of value. But let him answer to all those that have gone before. Or do we just call him what he is? He comes from the stock that created the Second World War and the First World War. He comes from that stock. I'll have no stock of that. What stock will you have? Stop stalking me. Truth. Be encumbered with the thoughts that surround the Ceiba tree. Truth. Be encumbered by the thoughts that come from the Ceiba tree. Truth. Be encumbered by the values that we hold dear. Take Jerusalem out of the equation. Develop the United Nations Resident Coordinator globally, and we can do it here in Mexico. We have the facility now to start training people. We don't need anyone's permission to do what we're doing either. We can just go ahead and do it. We can start training people to be the role of a United Nations Resident Coordinator. And the first ones we have invited. We've already invited them, but not formally. Maybe we just need to invite them formally. We've invited them informally to participate in the development of the United Nations Resident Coordinator. But maybe we should formally do this. And this is where the role of Mr. Trudeau could come in. Let him formally invite the United Nations Resident Coordinators to come to Mexico to go through a training to have them understand what a United Nations Resident Coordinator is supposed to do. Now, of course, the resident coordinator must have some understanding of the United Nations system. And we'll look to the Declaration of Human Rights and UNDRIP. We don't hear them not talking about UNDRIP at the UN. We hear them talking about the Declaration of Human Rights of 47. We don't hear them talking too much about UNDRIP. And the reason for that, because UNDRIP gives the Palestinians the rights to their homeland, and it gives the traditional people of Canada the rights to their lands that they've been duped out of over the years, and also the First Nations people of the United States, the Hopi, the Navajo, the Seminoles, the Cherokee, the Lakota, the Cheyenne. We empower the walk of Jesse Blue Forest, who's walking to plant trees of peace and bring the message to Mr. Trudeau. Plant the tree of peace in his heart. And Jesse thinks we're on the wrong path. Such a joke. Anyways, the prayers have been said. They've been planted in the cosmos. They've been witnessed by elders from many years, from many traditions. And we give it life into the universe as we plant each of these ideas onto a speck of sunlight. And on this day of December 21st, we send the sunlight to the moon, to the sun, to the planets, to the universe. And we remind everyone that December 25th, the birthday of Mr. Trudeau and the birth of Christ, coincidentally enough, this is the day of the optimum day in the Tzolk'in calendar according to Karl Johann Kalaman. December 25th is the optimum day. Today is a day for something else. This is the longest day of the year according to our calendar. And I think we're going to put this down because our fingers are burning. And so it be. Let it be. We send these thoughts and prayers up to the universe, giving them a microcosm speck of light, and let that light shine around the world. I call on the energies that have come together here to reflect how your ideas, thoughts, constructions in the past might serve us in the future. We are not stuck in our old ways. We can grow out of them. We just need to know which door to open. Do we come in from the door from the south? Do we come in from the door from the west? Do we come in from the door from the north? Do we come in from the door from the east? Does it matter which door we come in? Some will say yes, some will say no. Some will say you take your shoes off, some will say leave your shoes on. There are so many protocols around such a circle that it boggles the mind. And to consider the power of 8, when we have 10 and 8, 18, 10 and 8, maybe the power of 8 requires the power of 10 to make it manifest, which gives us 18. And this is 18. This is 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. the Hebrews called 18 a magic number. It will always be. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.